Right, a very good evening and welcome to FStop Live. And yeah, it's another evening with me, Pagamani, and today we're doing things slightly differently. One of the things that we need to speak about is how we end up improvising because things just, when they say Murphy's Law, if things can go wrong, chances are that they will go wrong. So that is something that we need to actually look at as people so that we're able to understand just a bit more what actually that means. But this week, what are we going to be talking about or touching base on is what it means to have a content weekend. And as can be seen on my screen over there, we have Ashvir, who is one of the Godox creatives. And this weekend, Ashvir is going to be part of the team that is going to be at Cloppers in Pretoria, along with fellow creative and Godox ambassador Karl Daniels. So that's what we talked about this week. We want to know what's happening this weekend, what happens when it comes to planning a content weekend, but most importantly, what is it that our creatives really enjoy about the creative space? So welcoming onto the show, Ashvir Maharaj. Ashvir, how are you this evening?
Hey, Pakamani, and hey to everyone that's watching. I'm great, thanks. Getting over winter, so it's a lot better with not wearing jackets anymore. So doing good, getting back to active. Enjoy watching your show. So it's great to be on your show. Great to be on your show. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it is a welcome thing to have you on the show because, I mean, one of the things that I've been watching in terms of the past couple of months is how you've just been doing these unboxing and reviews on different types of products. So are we in store to see any of those this coming weekend?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think the whole reason for this content creation day, as we mentioned, was to basically showcase all our Godox products between photography, videography, content creation, and just products that will help you improve and uplift your quality so that you can start producing better content. So we will be, between Karl and myself, we'll be doing both photo and video to help to cater for all sides of our creative community, to give people a bit of idea on our gear that's for photography related stuff, and also in your video creation and your live streams and streaming like the show that we're doing today. So what helps you get better content, better quality video, and just taking advantage of what Godox has to offer.
All right. It sounds very exciting. And, one of the things that a lot of people say that when it comes to creativity is that okay, let me use a nice little phrase that, someone actually used this week. He said, the color of the cat does not matter as long as it catches the mouse. So in this instance, we talked about a situation where it doesn't matter the equipment you use as long as you use the right light source to get the result. Would I be correct in saying so?
No, that's correct. I mean, with anything, I mean, when you're starting off, the whole thing about photo and video is light, basically controlling light. And without the correct light, that's a huge part of your quality of your work that's just gone. So, I mean, whether you have a 100,000 Rand camera or a 5,000 Rand beginner camera, if you don't have the light, the quality of your content is going to be bad either way. There's only so much technology can do without light. And that's why at Godox, you have all the light. It's just that a lot of the time people don't know which is the correct light to get and what's the correct gear that you need to use. And I mean, over and above light, Godox also masters audio. So audio is also a huge part of it, because if you have bad audio, basically your stream and stuff is pointless, because if nobody can hear you, you automatically, if nobody can hear you and see you, so they both go hand in hand, audio and lights. And I think that's what Godox is trying to showcase at these content creation events. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I enjoy the most is actually being able to pick up a speed like I looked at the V1, for instance, and also saw the V1 Pro. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's a bit of a difference. And there's always a thing where there's always an upgrade. So basically, what are the odds of being able to see the V1 Pro this weekend?
Well, when it comes to the photography, I'm handling the video side of it and the content creation side of it. So Karl is handling the video. So when he gets online, he's the guy for the V1 Pro. I'm not sure if it's going to be on display. I know there's going to be quite a few things on display. So Karl would probably be the best guy for that.
Let's talk about you quickly. As we said, you have done a couple of reviews and you use a bit of light. So in using a bit of light, so good light source, person comes to you and says, Ash, I want to do a video. I'm a beginner, not a pro. I'm a beginner. What would you advise me to use?
See, I think it would be depending on what your location and what type of content you're creating in the first place. Now, if you in a small room, like let's just say you're streaming, like how you did. I mean, in one of your previous shows, you showcased the ML60 by light. I think that was. I'm not sure if it was 2 episodes back or 3 episodes back. Now, when it comes to a small room, you can go lower powered. So your 60 watts, 30 watts would be sufficient. But if you have a bigger room, or if you have a camera, or this goes back to your statement earlier about gear. Now, if you have a cheaper quality camera that is not super sensitive to light, then you need to go more powerful lighting. So something like your 100 watts. Your 100 watts for a studio would be more than ideal. But your 60 watts is usually the key lights that normal YouTubers, streamers, and stuff use. Normally we use 2 of them. So you'd have like equal lighting from both sides. So a 60 watts on either side would be sufficient for a stream like what we have today. I've got 100 watts on one side, and then the other is split between a 30 watts on each side that I have, including the RGB. Those are all less than 30 watts. So, I mean, I would recommend as a starter to get something like the ML60 bicolor for your startup light. It's cheap, it's affordable. It allows you to invest in other gear, so better lenses, so you can drop down to like f2, f1.8 to allow more light to come in. But I mean, Godox has a huge range. There's so much to choose from, and I think that's where this content day comes into effect. So we can help people understand to buy better.
Definitely, that is the one thing that you make something that is extremely valid, because at the end of the day, it's always a case of also promoting people to just understand what it means for Godox creatives to be part of the community, because community involvement is something that is exceptionally big, and quite a number of people don't really understand just how important it is to have people who are part of the community and people who say, you know what, I want to assist. Have you ever been rejected by someone who, let's say, was in the same room as you, and you could see that they're struggling, and then you offered your help and they're like, I'm okay, but like in a more aggressive way?
Not really. I mean, most of the guys that I come across are always keen to learn. You would get the person that will probably give you that smirk or whatever as you turn your back around, but directly when in conversation with people, I mean, nobody has really done it. I mean, it comes to photography, I've experienced it a few times where people think that they're better than what they are, so they don't want to learn from you or take your experience in something. I mean, the fact is, certain people are experienced, they have more experience in certain things, and a lot of newcomers assume that they're good just because you have a camera, but you don't understand why you need to do things. So I haven't really experienced it face to face, maybe behind my back, but face to face now.
Okay. No, that's wonderful then. I think then that's what also keeps things pumping and alive, because at the end of the day, the one thing that as people we want to have is have people who can back us in our corner just like we back them. So that is one of the things that I've really picked up, and so we have a comment here by Karl, saying there are just too many options that Godox gives you, and
that's something
that's something
that We have so many options, and you never know which is the right one.
There we go. And it's always nice to also have options, because at the end of the day, the one thing I love about Godox is the fact that they're able to cater to a multitude in terms of the market, rather than just having a situation where they just, okay, this is a budget light, it's nice and friendly. Like, for instance, right now I'm using one of the Litmons, the bicolor one, and fair enough, I have the light that I desire. And then also in a bigger space, then I would actually source out, as you said, you do have the ML60 bi, and then also, is it the S, or is it the VL?
Yeah, I mean,
They're quite a number.
It goes. There's a few different models that are over 100 watts. So there is quite a number, but it depends on what your production is. I mean, if you're doing YouTubing and streaming, there's a certain model that caters for that. If you're doing more filmmaking and stuff, there's models that cater for that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can use anything, and that's how versatile the Godox ecosystem is that even with the most basic one, you'll still be able to get your work done. It just caters for all skill levels. It just, depending on what your project is, there's a model designed for you.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think I love the most, because even with when it comes to flashes, one of the flashes that I happen to own and love, and I think the reason I love it so much is because it was my first flash, and apart from it being my first one, it's always just proven to be something that, you go almost anywhere and someone is like, I like that flash, and that is the Godox TT350, nice and compact. It's what I call the Swiss Army knife of flashes, portable, put it in your pocket, portable, put it on top of your camera, and you don't really feel any weight on it. And to a point at times, you can even forget it's there, So that's one of the things. So here's another thing that I just would like to know. I have the light, but what would you advise to soften the light? So scenario one, we are in a compact, small studio at home. Number two, we have somewhat of a larger room, but not really large, but large enough, let's say about a 4x4 meter room. And then three, we are doing a documentary sort of production and a biggish sort of space.
So, I mean, ideally, I would prefer having a softbox on the lights at all times, even though we can use the smaller diffusers like the ML CD15, like what you showcased. Was it last week? I think it was last week.
Yes.
So, I mean, I would prefer to have a softbox on it at all times, no matter what production you're doing, because it just gives you a nice wider spread of soft light. So, like currently, I mean, I have a 60 centimeter softbox in my setup, so it gives me a nice even diffused light. The ML6 CD15 is great, but it gives you a harder light, I think, in a smaller space. If I had a bigger room, and if I put it and it was able to bounce off white walls, then I would go for the ML CD15, because then I'm getting a more powerful spread of light that's diffusing across the room in a 180 to 360 spread. In a smaller space like where I'm here, and it depends on your skin tones as well. Like a softbox with double diffusion gives you a more softer, more flattering look as compared to a smaller softbox. So the bigger spread, like a 60 centimeter, I would go bigger, but with bigger means that I need a more powerful light. Now, if I had the 60 watt bicolor light, a 60 centimeter or smaller softbox would work well. If I was going 200 watts or 300 watts, then I would go a bigger softbox or octabox or parabolic softbox that we have in our ranges to give you a more even spread of light. So you don't see that you're using a light. It just looks more like daylight. So that's what I would prefer, like a big diffusion box at all times.
Okay. I like the fact that we know we're talking about diffusing light and just not And here's the thing, the difference between makeup and no makeup. Do we also have to really consider what light source we're using there? Because we've picked up sometimes people want to, when they come on set and they want to speak, let's say you're having a podcast and you're live, and there's lights, and one of the things that a lot of people often talk about is the 3 light setup. Is it always a must to use 3 lights, or is it a situation of use what's available and what can work, and then you'll work on something else for next time?
I would say, depending on what your level is, if you're just starting out, you would only need 1 light as your starting key light. Now, it would be nice to have multiple lights. I have 4. I have 4 on at the moment. Two RGB, that's the ones that are hitting the background, and I've got two key lights in the front.
All right.
My one is the main 100 watts, and I have the 23 watts LC500, which is the light stick that Godox has. That's on this side here, lighting me up from this side. So I have 4 lights, and I prefer four lights. But as a startup, it's not a must. If you have one main powerful key light that's in say a 60 centimeter softbox, for example, that gives you enough wraparound lights. So right. You would not need the other 2 lights if you want. If you want a more professional look, as you have multiple people, then I would say, go for your 3 lights or 4 lights. If you're one solo person, like let's just say like how we the both are talking now, I don't need the additional lights. I just need 1 key light close to me, and that would be more than enough. And Godox has plenty of lights that could fill that gap between your normal COB lights and our LED lights that they've now introduced, that they now have as well. They've got a ton of flat LED lights that could serve as your key lights. So if you're a starting up guy, I would say invest in 1. Anything higher than 50 watts would be more than sufficient.
So the next thing that I want to go into is that, I understand all these different lights that you've mentioned. And now, I want, we've spoken about high-end tech. Now, one of the things that, that kind of delayed the show is load shedding. So the ones, portable strobes with batteries and whatnot, because a lot of people are like, well, if it's load shedding and I don't have a generator, what would you advise?
There we go. You can even go back to the light that we already mentioned, which was the ML60. Now that, while powered, it does have the capabilities of taking your NPF type batteries. The LC500R that I've mentioned to you, which is this light here, is battery powered as well. So whether
like I have,
it is. It's my photography lightsaber. It's my photography lightsaber. So that gives me roughly an hour and a half at full power. So on the battery, mine is like 3 years old anyway. So the battery is not as good as what it was, but an hour and a half or so on full power. So even if I do have load shedding, that's more than sufficient.
All right.
And my other lights take our GPB NPF batteries. So I'm good to go. I'm good to go during load shedding. So as a startup, there's a solution by both Godox and GPB to keep you running with the NPF type batteries. And most of the Godox lights that are LEDs do take our NPF batteries. So it can keep you running for you. If you have a live stream like what we have now, that's an hour or so long, we're basically good to go on just the lights itself. If you need more power, like our 60 watts or 100 watts, then you've mentioned previously on the power stations that they have as well at GPB.
I was about to touch on that.
I've reviewed the 400 watts power station, which is more than sufficient for your 3 or 4 light setup. So if you're pulling the 200 watts or so in your total light setup, that's more than sufficient to run your show for the hour and a half or so that you have. So there's a solution for both power, audio, and lighting. So Godox basically would keep you creating content without load shedding getting in your way.
Yeah, the one thing that you just spoke about that I love very much is the portable power station. As we said, if you have your electricity powered strobes, we do have the Godox portable power station, which you can get from GPB. And we also have on the other end, as you said, the NP batteries as well that we actually have. And you can handhold even the ML60 as it has a grip where you can actually just attach your batteries.
Yep.
And it's the biggest thing I think with that one is that it's not heavy at all. So it's something that I think a lot of people can marvel at. Then the other thing, apart from we've spoken about the strobes, we've spoken about the portable power station, we've spoken about the soft boxes. And what if someone wants to use an umbrella? Would that be advisable? Maybe, it's like, okay,
Well, I mean, it would work depending on if you have some of the video lights do have options for putting an umbrella. Like I think it is the VL 300 or the VL 150s or so do have options for umbrella mounts. So an umbrella would work, but I mean, at times it's not the most recommended thing because if you have if pointed incorrectly, you could see the cross on the umbrella. So you would see the shadows. Most of the time, the lights overpower it anyway, unless you're running it at extremely low power. Now, if it's extremely low power, you might see it, but if it's at higher power, most likely your light would cancel it out. It's just that it's not an ideal long-term solution. It would work, even in photography-wise. I mean, a lot of people only use umbrellas if they have studios and stuff. It's not the most portable type of thing. You'd rather carry a stronger softbox or so. But it works. You can use an umbrella if you need to budget and you can only afford an umbrella. They're a lot cheaper than softboxes. Then it would work as your startup setup. I mean, it could work for a long time, but if you're on a budget and you're looking to start up, you can get your ML 60 watts light, and then but then I would prefer that you get an MLCD 15 because it's cheaper than an umbrella. And it gives you, and you can use it with your normal speed lights as well. So then
I think the one thing I like about the MLCD 15 is the fact that even if you drop it, it's silicone. It doesn't break.
Yeah. It just gets dusty. You just put it under the tap and you're back to go. You're good as new again. So that would work for both video and photo. So it's a dual benefit item that's to your kit. So if you're a hybrid content creator, then you can switch between photo and move on to a video light, but you're only having one piece of gear. And that's where I think that this content sessions and these live demos is going to help people to choose the right gear with the money that you have. And then you can later expand your range, but we're just helping you to get stuff that suits a dual purpose.
Here's something that also cropped up in my mind. How often do you clean your camera sensor?
Well, I clean it at least once a month. So, I mean, sometimes it is twice a month. But
because some people don't see the importance of, they're like, why do you need to clean it? I mean, like, it's just because what generally happens with certain cameras, it just says when you switch it off, sensor cleaning. But we know that, okay, that will just shake that in there. But the actual cleaning, that needs to happen.
No, that's the thing is that if you're shooting portraits and people all the time, then you don't really see it. But if you're shooting other genres, like I shoot landscapes at times, now you can clearly see spots and dirt on your lens if you're shooting a plain blue sky. I mean, even if you're shooting at an event or a wedding and you have a blue sky or a gray and cloudy sky, and if your sensor is dirty, that's going to be a nightmare for you to clean. So I would advise that people do it at least once or once every 2 months, because have like a frame like what we have now, you're not going to see your spots and you're not going to see your dirt. But as long as you have plain light color backgrounds, it's going to pop up. It's going to waste your time to clean, spot remover when you're editing. So it's easier just to take it for a sensor cleanup, and most of it is free, depending on which camera brand you have. It's free, so and it takes less than an hour to get it cleaned wherever you go. So it's easier just to have a clean sensor all the time.
Definitely, I'd also say the same thing.
I mean, there's times where I've seen people's pictures, especially for newcomers, and it just looks horrible. You can just see every single dirt spot on it, and there's it. It takes less than an hour to get it cleaned.
No, that's the one thing that I've actually picked up, is the fact that a lot of people are not so preview to the fact that one should invest in making sure that their sensor is always clean, and making sure that at the end of the day, they always have the cleanest image. Because you, as you say, you're busy taking landscape, and you're like, you always see this little smudge, but you're not sure what's happening with that smudge. But it actually turns out it's the fact that you did not clean your sensor, or you didn't actually take the time to learn how to clean your camera sensor.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it comes with cleaning. Cleaning any gear should be a must after every shoot. I mean, whenever I return from a shoot, the first thing is obviously backing up your content that you shot, right. And the next step is to clean up all the gear. Every light needs a wipe down because of dust and stuff, and everything is packed away again. So after every shoot, all my gear is clean. It's just become a habit and a process. So it's to get home, you back up content, your things to your hard drive, and then you sit and clean and wipe gear and pack it away. That's the process for me all the time.
I have a confession to make. It's going to sound crazy. So this year, for the first time in 3 years of owning, one of my cameras was literally the first time that it actually got a nice little wash. And, some people like, okay, when I talk about a wash, guys, I'm talking about a situation where, you actually get the right sensor swab. Because another thing is that you can't buy a sensor swab for a full frame camera, but you're going to clean an APS-C camera.
Yeah.
So let's also be very cautious around that. Otherwise, you end up destroying something that is extremely precious, because, it's sensitive. So, for instance, I had to also seek advice with one of my devices because it has IBIS, and I had to learn that, because of IBIS and the sensor keeps moving, then it had to be a situation where I had to learn, IBIS, these are the settings you put off, and you actually clean the camera while it's on. So I was like, okay, this is like really interesting, because with my other camera, it's off, doesn't have IBIS, and it's very easy to just have enough liquid, because that's another thing, is that the liquid in itself, don't bath it. I think that's what happens quite a bit. Yeah. And also the fact that you use the swab once. Someone says, I don't want to waste money. No, it's not a case of wasting money. But trust me, it is wasting money when you take a swab and you use it in a bad way.
Yeah, look, a lot of people, I wouldn't recommend that a lot of people, do it themselves. If you're experienced enough, I would say, go ahead, get your kits and clean it yourself. Otherwise, take it to a professional to do it. If you don't trust yourself, if you don't know how to do it, it's safer, because once you damage your sensor, you damage your sensor. It's gone.
And to replace a sensor is actually quite expensive. So, guys, just also, just head over to GPB and say, guys, I have a camera. Can you guys just assist me? And trust me, the guys will be more than happy to do so.
And I'm sure they do stock a lot of cleaning kits as well. So for normal gear and lighting cleaning, you just need a microfiber cloth, a nice cleaning spray. So I'm sure you could find that at GPB as well.
Definitely. Basically, the one thing I love about GPB and Godox is the fact that they stock up on a whole lot of things. Basically, you have the camera, they have everything else.
Yeah.
I like even that motto. You have the camera, we have everything else.
Yeah, everything that we need.
Exactly. I mean, cleaning gear, like it's very important. And, we talk about so much about light and owning it, talk about light and using it. And very few people speak about light, basically gear and preserving it through making sure that it's always clean, making sure that your sensor contacts are always in tip-top shape. But most importantly, not just taking a normal cloth and just cleaning, but there's specific types of things that I believe that people need to also look at. And these things really help in terms of making sure that there's a greater longevity in terms of the stuff that we own.
Yeah, no, and I think that leads back to the great thing that Godox S8 and GPB does is that in providing with your shows like your FStop lives, you're getting to grips, plus all the videos that we do on YouTube for the actual gear that we have, it gives everyone an opportunity to understand exactly what your gear is capable of, how you need to treat your gear, and how you need to clean your gear. I think Karl did an episode of taking care of your gear on one of his earlier episodes as well. So it is on his channel and on the Godox channel as well on how to take care of your stuff. So I think that's what Godox excels at, is that providing you the education for free to basically take care of your hard-earned gear that you've managed to purchase. And I think that's where these content days and demo days help you further to basically ask the one-on-one questions that you're too scared to ask in a live session like what we have today.
Yeah, it's very easy to just ask a question, pop one in the comments, and just say, guys, I'm so and so, and I'm watching the show. And as I'm watching, this is what I'm actually learning, because it's all about learning. It's all about sharing knowledge. And yeah, just about also having fun with gear. Because as I said, I think you're the first person literally that I've actually asked about cleaning of gear, because quite a number of people, we have a conversation around what gear they own and how they have it, and then we'd also look at pictures that they have taken and get the story behind that. But now we're getting a different story, is that what are the things you would say a person needs, especially leading up to something like a content weekend? So you're about to create content. Apart from your camera and good lighting, which Godox has, what would you say a person also needs?
Look, I mean, first they would need to know what do they actually want to create. Now, if it's just a normal content creator, what do they want to create? If it's a photographer, what do they want to shoot? If they're a videographer, what do they want to shoot? So if you have an idea of where you want to go in the direction of your creative field, then it helps us help you buy better or make better decisions. So we know what to show you, what to teach you, what to push in your direction. Whereas if you don't have any idea, it's basically a whole range of 100 products that could serve the same purpose. You confused, you don't know what to do. Like if you know the direction that you're going, you have the gear, you have the camera, you have your basic accessories. Now you're coming to find out about lighting. We guide you in the correct lighting based on what budget that you have, what could fit your budget, your creative needs, what would be your next step going forward, and what you need to get. And we would obviously, based on what your projection is for the next year or 2 years, this is what other Godox gear or GPB gear you can get. So that's the whole point, I think, of the content days. It's not to just come and take pictures. You basically need to network, learn, ask the right questions, understand what was being taught to you, and then practice it while you're there. And while you're there, if you make a mistake, you can basically go back and say, look, I took the shot that you just showed me. It didn't work out. What was the reason? And it could be a change of settings, and then we can help you understand how to improve it. And then you go back with some valuable knowledge, which you're going to go practice on your own and come back to the next content day and say, look, I've mastered what you taught me. I watched FStop live. I watched Getting to Grips, and now I'm ready to show you what I can achieve. And I think that's the whole thing, is that you need to have the questions of where you're heading and how we can help you head to that direction faster.
Right. So, yeah, one of the things that I always say to guests when we have this show is that there's nothing that irks me off there more than how time just flies and we find ourselves at the end of the show. And I actually put up something now. And yeah, I'd like you to talk us through this so that we just have a greater idea of what's happening this Saturday.
Yeah, so Kloppers is one of our obviously approved stores that stocks Godox South Africa products. Now, they obviously opened a new store recently. I think it was in the beginning of June or the end of May, if not mistaken. So they've opened up a new store. They're going to be having a huge range of Godox South Africa products that's going to be available. So if somebody doesn't have access to a computer and cannot order from Godox South Africa online, or they can't go to the store in Joburg East, then Kloppers is an easy, convenient store that's situated in Pretoria that has a huge range of gear to cater for the photography community, the videography community, and your normal content creators. So this weekend on Saturday, both Karl and myself will be doing live demos on some of the selected products that we have to cater for both genres. So we will be going through the products, what it can do, what it can achieve, how it works, and then giving you a live test of what you can achieve with it. And while we do that, you get an opportunity to also bring your cameras along. Don't forget your memory cards and your batteries, and you can practice as well. So if we showcase a photography light or the triggers that we have, then you get a chance to test it on your camera as well to see how it actually works. So we'll be doing live demos on the selected products that cover both photo, video, and audio. So to give you the full content creation package between the times between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. So then you'd be more than welcome to purchase them from Kloppers, and they're your convenient location situated in Pretoria. So yeah, while we're there, think of stuff that you want to ask us. If you had gear in mind on your wish list, write down your questions, bring it along, bring your camera along, and come and watch the sessions for the products that we will be demoing between those times. So there's quite a few products. So there's enough to get you enough content and enough information to help you buy better going forward.
Lovely. I love hearing that because at the end of the day, a lot of people tend to say, what is it? What's in it for me? And you've literally unpacked everything and said, you know what? This is what is in it for everybody that will be part of Saturday. But yeah, as they normally say, all good things come to an end. And unfortunately, also our time has come to an end. But I'd like to thank you very much for a very informative sort of session. And guys, head out to Kloppers this coming Saturday and support Karl and Ashvir. And they will be there, with certain Godox products, and they're just going to be there with you, interacting with you. And what a better way to learn than just not having someone just on the screen, but actually seeing them live in person and actually doing something that is informative. Again, SVR, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
And may Saturday be a blast.
Okay, great. And thanks for everyone for watching. And we hope to see everyone on Saturday. All ages welcome. So don't just stay away. And we hope to see you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And that brings us to the end of our show today. As they normally say, things can go wrong. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. But as much as that was the case today, we still managed to pull through, give you informative information that will actually lead you all the way to Kloppers this coming Saturday, where we will see. Well, basically, you'll be with Ashvir and Karl Daniels, as well as the Godox team that is going to be there. But do make sure to actually go through to our website, which is www.godox.co.za, whereby you can actually check out some of the other events, and it's really going down. Apart from that, you can also sign up for free basic training that is actually going to be offered in your region. So, hey, there's a lot that Godox has your way. You back us, we back you. And for tonight, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And yeah, unfortunately, as I say, all good things come to end. And today, this has been the end of our show. Peace out.
I want the sun.
Operation Night 2D.
Copy that.
Only your future is brighter than us.